the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Juan Carlos. So that's how you actually pronounce my name, in case any of you guys were ever wondering. I don't do it because I feel like it makes me look like pretentious or something. So I tend to mispronounce my name on purpose, but it is Juan Carlos, in case any of you guys have ever wondered. If this is your first time listening to the Revisionary Podcast, the way this works is I bring on guests, usually comedians, who tell a nonfiction story about their lives in which they wish things had gone a little bit differently. Afterwards, they have the opportunity to retell the same exact story, except this time they get to change any facts or details that they want. Pretty easy, huh? Easy peasy. I personally like it. I'm a big fan of the concept, and so it seems you guys are as well. I've been watching the numbers, and this podcast is growing exponentially. It's really exciting to see all the growth. So I'm going to ask you again, if you haven't already, please make sure that you leave those reviews anywhere you're listening. Leave a review. And if the place you're listening doesn't offer you the opportunity to leave a review, go leave a review on Apple Podcasts, because Apple Music, because it really helps the podcast grow immensely. I can't even stress that enough. Also, this is my final reminder that this Saturday, December 19th, we are meeting up with the great Gastro Almonte. Again, that is at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So please tune in, and it'll be live on the Revisionary Podcast Instagram page. You can go ahead and ask any questions you want to Gastro and just have a conversation with him and see what's going on in his life and how things have changed for him ever since he aired on this podcast. So this week we have another comedian joining us. We have JJ Mattise. So JJ is somebody that I actually really look forward to having a conversation with, because she's from the greatest city in the world. That's right. She's from New York City, Queens, New York. Stand up. I love Queens, one of my favorite boroughs. You know, I have a lot of respect for every borough. You know, every borough is special in its own different way. You know, the Bronx, of course, my hometown, Manhattan. No explanation necessary. Brooklyn is one of the hottest places out right now. And Queens, so much love for Queens. Yeah, I'm trying to, you know what? I don't have any hate for Staten Island. You know what? I'll tell you what. If you listen to this podcast and you're from Staten Island, why don't you tell me what Staten Island's all about? Tell me what's cool about Staten Island, because I personally haven't explored it enough to form an opinion. But with that being said, her reputation precedes her, and everyone just talks about how she's a bona fide killer on the stage. So let's go ahead and get this conversation started, and let's see if we can get JJ on the line. Hey, JJ, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming on the Revisionary Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. So what have you been up to?
Smoking lots of weed, with my titties out, and being scared every day.
So living your best life. You're just living
true shit. Everybody's like, I'm doing great things. I'm opening businesses. Nah, I'm just scared.
Mm-hmm. Look, I get that. Do you find that like all this extra time has helped you like be more productive, or you're just working on yourself?
I am working on myself. Like this time has made me spend time with myself, which is scaring me. I'm like, ooh, I might not be a good person. All right, let's work on this. Like, let's work on being on time for things. Let's work on keeping promises. So it's just the little things like that I know will help me in the future.
Got you. Anything in particular that really like brought this to the forefront for you?
That brought myself to myself?
No. Because you're saying that you had things that you needed to work on, but I'm saying like, was there a trigger incident, or were you just took a step back and you're like, it's time?
I started dating during COVID.
Oh.
Not during the height of it.
Okay.
But it was like, am I gonna risk it? I might. Right? just for one night, I might risk it. But I was bringing toxic people back into my quarantine life, and I was like, all right, you're attracting the wrong people. Let's work on this. Let's attract some wholesome people into your life. No more crackheads.
So hold on. I have questions. How does dating work with masks on? Like, could you even tell what they look like?
Let me tell you something. People just as reckless. People not wearing condoms. They might wear masks. They might wear it here. You just have to. What I look for is somebody who's a non-essential employee.
Right.
Like, you're not outside every day. You're at home. Right. So that's an attractive thing right now. Like, oh, are you out every day? No? Okay.
Yeah. So you guys heard it here first. Shout out to all my non-employees because y'all are not essential.
Right?
JJ's down. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm down. You get unemployment. We could put the unemployment together. Let's do it.
Loving it. Mm-hmm. All right. So with that being said, where are you from originally? Are you from New York?
Queens, born and raised in Queens. When I get announced on stage, nobody knows that I'm from the Bronx. I'm from Harlem. I'm from everywhere else but Queens. Like, people just don't like to think about here.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I tell people I'm from Queens, they're like, I thought you was from Harlem or Brooklyn this whole time. I'm like, no, not really. Born and raised. I was born in a Jewish hospital.
Okay.
And grew up in Queens all my life. Long Island Jewish. No, it was just that's just the one. My parents are Sadidi. My mother wanted to go out to Long Island. She said she was shopping when her water broke. And I was like, you was at the mall? She's like, yep. And I finished buying my clothes. And then I had you. I was like, okay. Like, glad we got priorities, Mom.
I mean, look, you turned out all right? You made it.
I turned out all right. She doesn't know everything, but for the most part, I turned out all right.
Okay. So we're there.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like, as a New Yorker, I do feel like Queens does get a lot of hate for no reason.
No reason.
Queens is one of my favorite boroughs, and I'm going to tell you why.
Ooh,
Number one.
What?
Queens is one of my favorite boroughs, hands down. I'm gonna tell you what. Number one, home of the New York Mets, but moving aside from there.
Correct.
Queens has the best variety of food in the world.
Yes.
Every single cuisine that you could possibly think of or want, you're gonna find in Queens. That's number one. Number
absolutely.
two, Queens is the most diverse place in the world. Every single ethnicity that you can think of has a neighborhood in Queens because they exist. And third of all, I think Queens has the most languages spoken anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So I don't understand the Queens hate personally.
Yes, and I only know English, so I don't. People don't get. I be like, yo, I only know English. They be like, where? I be like, I only know English and how to order my sandwich in the bodega. That's it. Like, that's the skills I needed in my neighborhood. Right. That's it.
Let's hear this. So if I'm Papi working the bodega, because I know y'all call all the Spanish guys Papi. So go ahead. How you want to get that?
You know what? I personally don't. Because I only have one daddy. I really don't feel comfortable. Like, I'd be like, nah.
Okay, that's probably better. All right, but let's see. How you want to say it? Let's see what you got.
I say, Papi, can I? No, I don't say Papi. I'd be like, yo, they'd be like, how's your father? I'd be like, good. I'd be like, let me get carne con queso. That's it.
She keeps it simple, y'all. All right.
Oh, carne con queso con huevos. Horrible. But he's like, I got you. I'm like, that's it. And I step back.
Is that how you're ordering that? Was it the steak and egg sandwich? Is that what you're trying to get?
Yep.
Okay.
They get it.
Yeah, I understood too. I was like, meat. What kind of meat could she want from a bodega? Okay.
Give me meat. They be like, you want the carne? I be like, the carne. They be like, I be like, I don't know what they gonna put on my. It might be a surprise. I don't know, but I know I'm gonna get bread, cheese, and an egg.
One day you're gonna roll in and you're gonna get like a ham and egg sandwich. That's what's gonna happen to you.
It is sometimes. That's hamon though. That's see, I got you.
Oh, excuse me. Look at you.
Hamon. I got you.
Queen, stand up. I see you.
Yo, I used to eat Cuban food. The huge chicharrones. That was my woo. Woo. That was the smell of Queens for me.
Oh man. All those good times. You're bringing me back on some memories, but let's go ahead.
You're gonna be back. I know.
Yeah, no, I know. Let's go ahead and get right on into this. I'm gonna cede the stage to you. JJ, go ahead and tell us your story.
So this was the year, 2000. After 2010, my life got a little cloudy because my New Year's 2010, I got hit by a car. Right?
Oh wow!
But this is not my story though. It just adds to the path I was going down after I got hit by a car. Right? Okay. So after I got hit by the car, I was like hooked. Like as much as brown people can be hooked on painkillers, like as much as you can be, because other people go far. But I was like, I like these, man. Like, popping muscle relaxers.
Right.
But the muscle relaxers also made me itchy. But after that, I kind of became like a light alcoholic, not too crazy. Not that I'm ruining family functions, but I became a light alcoholic, and like my weed smoking became more intense. Like
What's a light alcoholic? Is that you're only drinking the first 3 days of the week? What's that mean?
I still drink socially, but it is a lot.
Okay.
But it is socially. If I'm in my house, I might go through a 6-pack by myself.
So is this a situation where you sit in there, you're like, yo, I kind of want to drink, but I can't do this alone, so you're texting people so you have an excuse to drink? Is that
right, and we going out.
Okay,
right.
I get that.
I'm still in my early 20s. I'm still 23. Like, we going out.
Right.
Like, let's go out.
Okay.
And I was like, I could still be drunk on crutches. That's how good I was. Like, that's what I'm saying, light alcoholic. So at this point in time, this was the first job I got after I got hit by a car. I was working at Starbucks. I was a supervisor, super stressed out, hopped up on coffee every day. Everybody wants a caramel macchiato and a caramel frappuccino all the time, stressed out. I remember working at Starbucks and being the worst person I was in my life, if I can remember. Like, just hooked to sugar. So one day after work, one of my friends was like, yo, you want to smoke and go to Five Guys? I'm like, that sounds like a wicked good time. Yes. Okay. Why not? A little bit of smoke, a little bit of burgers. And she had to hook up at Five Guys. So I was excited. I was like, I don't have to pay. Amazing. So there was a spot that everybody went to, and I might be blowing it up for the Starbucks people that still work in Times Square, but there was a spot that everybody went to by a steakhouse to smoke, because our ideology is that the steak will cover up the marijuana. That's what we thought. That's what we felt. That was our great plan. And I started to see, I would go and smoke there, but I started to see other people there like, oh, what's up? And I'm like, this is becoming too hot of a spot. But I was like, whatever. So we walked to the location. It was like a little, you know how apartment buildings have their own park sometime?
Yeah.
Well, in Manhattan.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, no, I do.
Or in the projects. It's either you live in a city building or the project.
I thought my first thought was the projects. I thought you were talking about those concrete playgrounds.
Right. That is no middle class. You don't get your own park. It's either you're poor or you're wealthy. That's the reason you get your own park. So me and my homegirl, I had a one hitter. So a one hitter is like a little. It kind of looks like a cigarette. You think you're low. It looks like a silver cigarette. Like it's painted like a cigarette, but it's like a little thing that you put a little bit of marijuana in it and you smoke it, and it gives you like 2 hits or whatever. Mm-hmm. So me and my friend are passing the one hitter back and forth, and this guy is walking up to us. He approaches me and he's like, yo, you got a lighter? So at this point in time, my eyes are low. I'm like, yeah, bro, here's the lighter. He takes out his badge and was like, NYPD. I was like,
Do that one more time for me?
Literally didn't see this in my day. My horoscope didn't say anything about this. Didn't see it coming at all.
Right.
But I should have known from when I saw too many people there to move my location. So whatever, they now like 12 cops come out of nowhere, and I'm like, whoa, like nobody has weapons. What's going on? Mm-hmm. They take me and my friend's ID. This is important to the story. I'm from Queens. My friend is from Brooklyn. Okay. Brooklyn people handle themselves differently. Every borough handles themselves differently in a situation like this. True. I want to say that.
That's true.
They take our IDs, right? All right. They're looking at it. The thing about the cops is that they smell my weed and I was like, this is trash. And I was like, so they let me go, right? They're like, where'd you get this trash from? I was like, I don't know, but let me go then if it's trash. Like, if you think it's oregano, let me go. Mm-hmm. So they're like, we're going to legalize it soon anyway. This is back in 2012. I was like, all right, we're still waiting. Right. They come, they give me and my friend back the IDs, but they hold hers. And they're like, you're, so-and-so. And she was like, yeah. They was like, do you have a ticket? Did you receive a ticket back in this year for trespassing? She was like, no. They were like, oh, it says you were trespassing at so-and-so. She's like, that's by my house. I'm like, that's not what they asked you, though. So apparently she walked through the park by her house like she does every night to get home. And this particular day, in this project park, there was a police there. And so she got a ticket and she didn't take it seriously. She was like, it's by my house. And I was like, that's not what he asked you. You got a ticket. Why didn't you go in for this ticket?
Right.
So I'm just like, whatever. I don't know the rules at this point of having a ticket in NYC and not complying to it and going to your court date. So they announced us. They were like, listen, at this time, we're going to take you to the police station so you could be ticketed. That's how they worded it to me. They said, I'm going to the police station to get a ticket.
Right.
I'm thinking like, why can't I get my ticket right here?
Mm-hmm.
They searched me before they took our IDs. Mm-hmm. They didn't find the weed. But now that we're going to the police station, they like, we have to do a second search on you. So now I'm panicking. I'm touching my pockets. They're like, you got anything else on you? I'm like, I don't think so. They're like, you moving too much. And I was like, nah. Stop moving. They were like, you moving too much. And in my head, I thought I could take my baggie and throw it in the bush without all 12 cops seeing it. No. So I literally just gave it up. Like I had it hiding in a mint case. So I just gave it up to them. And they were like, oh, this is all you have? This is nothing. And I was like, yeah, it's nothing. We get to the police station. I get searched again. I had on a hoodie, right, with the string on it. So the lady was like, do you want to keep your hoodie or do you want to take off your hoodie? I was like, I want to keep my hoodie on. She snatches the string out my hoodie. Whoa. My heart, I was like, whoa, did you just snatch the string purposely out my hoodie? It didn't fall out in the wash, nothing. She just yanked my string out my hoodie. That it was so hurtful. Like, I was like,
I can't breathe. Hold on, stop. Why is she taking your string away?
Yo, because people strangle themselves with this. And I'm like, I'm just in holding, sis. Like, we're not even in the jail. Like, you snatched the string out my hoodie? Crazy. I was like, that's fighting words in New York. But anyway. So also they're like, oh, if you have to go to the bathroom, they just show us like this hole in the floor. And I was like, nah, I'll hold it. I don't even know. I'll just hold it. Whatever's coming, I'll just hold it.
Right.
So I'm in holding. I guess I'm not in bookings. I'm in holding.
Right.
And I'm in holding with it was me. It was my friend. And it was like 4 girls of Latin descent. And I say girls because these girls were like, I always wanted to do the classic thing, what are you in here for? Right. So. Right. I asked one of the girls, like, what are you in here for? And she was like, I didn't do nothing. And I was like, you did something. Okay? Just like I did something, you did something.
Right.
Okay? So apparently these girls was caught stealing from like Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister. So the cop is trying to ask them for like a parental contact. So the officer's asking the girl like, hey, like we have to contact your parents. I need a number. She's like, me and my grandma share a phone. Right? Me and my grandmother share one phone and I have it. So you can't get the number. Yeah. He's like, listen, if we don't get a parent in here, we'll send you to jail. And one of the girls started begging. She's like, listen, mister, like if you call my parents, they're going to send me back to DR. At the point in time, like I'm thinking like, why is she so scared to go on vacation? Like, DR sounds lovely. From growing up in Queens all my life, the punishment for my friends of Latin descent is that their parents were going to send them back to their country. It's not even you get a whooping. Like I'm black and I get a whooping. Y'all get sent back to a whole nother country.
Can I tell you why, JJ?
Go ahead.
I've gotten used to high-speed internet and having electricity all the time. I'm sent back to the dark ages. I'm already here. I'm not trying to live that life no more.
Like I was born here. I don't even know what's over there.
Yo, that's a whole fact. Look, I'm just saying. I've seen The Purge. I know what happens when the light goes out.
They're like, yo, you don't understand. It's third world. I'm like, it sounds nice. Puerto de Playa. Let's go. Let's do it. Like,
look, I won't even go camping anymore because I say that my parents swam here, so I don't have to sleep on the floor. I'm not having it anymore.
Yo. These girls with withholding information, like you don't understand. They're gonna send us back. And I was like, to where? So they're crying and stuff, right?
Right.
So I'm in there for a couple hours. I'm looking at everything. They brought a drunk in. They gave him McDonald's. He must be in here every other day because he got McDonald's. I was like, why nobody else get McDonald's? So it comes to about the second hour, my wrist is like almost bleeding because like the handcuffs were so tight They were actually nice enough to give me 2 pair of handcuffs, but the handcuffs were so tight. So I still think I'm here for a ticket. This is the point where my world changed, right?
Okay.
Because I'm still high in handcuffs, so everything's all good to me, right? They tell me they uncuff me. They're like, okay, stand up against this wall. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? They're like, hold on to this paper. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, whoa. This got my name on it. What's going on? Like, it's got my name, my age, my height on it. This looked like a mug shot. They're like, ma'am, please stand against the wall. I'm like, whoa. I said I was here for a ticket, not understanding what this is about. Why are we taking pictures? Right. Nobody told me we was taking pictures today. I'm here for a ticket. So I'm like, whoa, am I under arrest? The guy's like, ma'am, you can ask questions afterwards. I was like, I'm asking questions now. Am I under arrest? He's like, ma'am, I need you to stand up against the wall and take this photo. So I literally, I look to the front, I hold it out. He like turned to the side. I turned to the side. I'm like, I'm under arrest. I know what's that, right? I am under arrest. I am in jail right now. That's the point where my high wore off and I was like, I am in jail right now. Oh my God, my parents would not like this. So as we're not taking the picture anymore, he's like, come over here, put your index finger out. I'm like, oh, I am in jail. He's taking fingerprints, right? He's telling me, roll my finger on the little pad. I'm panicking. I'm like, wow. So I sit back down, I'm handcuffed, and I'm like, we are in jail. I turn to my friend, I'm like, we are in jail. I start confessing stuff to her. I'm like, listen, if we don't get out of here, please erase all my cookies on my laptop. If you get out of here first, please. Like, I'm telling her to tell my mother I love her, all types of stuff. I'm being dramatic. And so they held me in there for about 5-6 hours for a ticket. So they finally uncuffed me, but they don't uncuff my friend. Mm-hmm. So they're like, you can go. She had to stay apparently because she had the warrant. And the reason why I was taken in also because you can't be with a person that has a warrant. All right. Get to know your friends better. Know if they didn't pay any tickets. I would say that to everybody, get to know your friends better. Okay.
That's
because
cool.
we was just locked up for a park ticket. So they let her go. And she's like, call my mother. So I call her mother and I tell her, like, listen, your daughter's in jail. She's like, for what? You playing? I'm like, nah, not playing. You know, Brooklyn people, they be like, you lying. I be like, nah, not lying.
Right.
dead ass, son. Like, dead ass. Like, I'm not lying. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, she got a ticket for being in the park. She was like, by the house? I'm like, see, she said the same thing. But that's not what's important about the story. The important part of the story is that she got the ticket and didn't show up to court. Everybody's like, but it's by the house. No. That's not the point. Okay? It's by the house. No. So we have to go. I have to go into work the next morning. I'm the supervisor at Starbucks. I have to go into work the next morning and let them know, like, hey, she's not going to make it to work. They're like, why? I was like, we got arrested. They're like, for what? I was like, for nothing. They was like, y'all did something. I was like, we didn't do nothing. Right? You can't tell your job you got arrested for smoking in the park down the block. You can't. I was like, we didn't do nothing. They was just targeting us. And they was like, y'all did something, but whatever. They made my homegirl try to come into work and work straight from the cell. Like, they tried to make her work. Yeah. They tried to make her work, and I was like, nah, like, she could go home. They're like, it's your shift. And I was like, it's my shift. It's cool. I'll just have to make the coffees faster. Like, y'all wildin'. So, all in all, like, that experience, like, I want to say this too. I want to say my father was a cop for many years, and I did not call my dad. People are like, why didn't you call your dad? I was like, I don't want to call my dad. I didn't want to call my dad because I felt like I was responsible in the situation for this. And I also didn't want to tell my parents I was smoking weed so freely in the park.
Right.
Yeah. They like, black parents, they'd be like, we're going to send you back. I'd be like, to where? Somewhere. And I'd be like, I don't even want no parts of it. But yeah, I just felt like it was an embarrassment to my family. And like, I went to court. I had a court date after that. My friend, she had a court date. They released her. They was like, you're in college. You could get to go. But me, I believe I was over 25 at this point. So they tried to charge me with possession, public indecency, and like loitering. Like, they tried to charge me with 3 things. And like, I had a paralegal at the time, and he was like, you were under arrest. And I was like, no, I wasn't. Nobody Mirandized me. I watched SVU. Nobody said anything to me. And like, and I'm like, that's a big point there. Like, nobody Miranda. I didn't know I was under arrest until they took the fingerprints. Yeah, right. I didn't know. He's like, but you were under arrest. And I was like, see, this is what they talking about in the system here. I was like, I wasn't. Nobody informed me. So if I had to speak up on behalf of myself because my paralegal wasn't doing anything, he's about to let me go to jail for a year for possession. First of all, I want to say that I had a Starbucks salary. I didn't have enough to possess to be charged for possession. I want to say that I had a corner of dust that they was trying to send me to jail. They was trying to send me to jail for dust. And I was like, ma'am, listen, this is my first offense. All right. Nobody Mirandized me. She's like, nobody Mirandized you? I said, nobody Mirandized me. All right. And like, I was like, I'm a good citizen. I don't have anything on record. And she was like, all right. She gave me like I was like on probation for a year, meaning like if they even caught me pissing on the sidewalk, I would go to jail for like 5 years for dust. But I got all charges dismissed, and I swore to myself, I swore off weed for like, I was like, weed ruined my life. I'm never doing this shit again.
As she lights one up right now.
What I learned from that is that don't get so comfortable that you just on the park bench smoking. Smoke and move. Smoke and move. That's what I would say to everybody in NYC. Smoke and move. Okay? Keep walking.
So, wow. So I have questions for you. Mm-hmm. Let's dial this back. So why were you in the same jail cell with children? Let's start.
Yo, I don't know. I don't know if there was like I don't know if there was like an overpopulation of it or what, but I remember the precinct was like on like 45th and Broadway, somewhere in that area, and I just don't know why they put them in there with us. Like, and they I have no idea. I didn't ask that question.
That was one of my first questions. I'm like, this don't sound right.
These girls was 16 stealing. They still had sensors on their shirts in the cell. Like, I didn't do nothing. I was like, put the tag. You got the sensor on. All right. You didn't.
Rookie move. If you're gonna steal a shirt from a store, steal it near the counter so you can swipe it on the machine that takes off the sensor. Not that I would know, because clearly I've never stolen nothing. I just watch a lot of TV, and that's the only reason I know stuff. Shout out to Trinkets on Netflix. So, but okay, we're there. So you take this mugshot, and that was the first moment you realized
because let me tell you something. I was joking with the police the whole time while I was in these handcuffs. Like, haha, yeah, we good. Haha, they good. They like me in here. They like me. Ain't nothing about to happen to me. Until that mugshot, I was like, wow, I'm in jail. Okay.
Did you say anything that could have incriminated you?
No. Like what? Like,
because you said they didn't Mirandize you. So no. My understanding is that anything that you said, right, would have had to have been thrown out if they didn't Mirandize you. So I was wondering if you had said anything that potentially could have even criminalized you.
No, listen. One thing I remember my dad told me advice is that don't say nothing. I was silent the whole time, like, nope. I didn't say nothing the whole time, but I didn't even know I was under arrest though.
Weren't you afraid that someone your dad knew would have been in the station?
You know what? At that point in time, it didn't matter to me. My parents was so entangled in their divorce at the moment, they're not paying me no mind. They not. My parents had like the longest, blackest divorce ever. They are the typical divorce couple where they're gonna hate each other for the rest of their lives. So they was not paying attention to us at the time. Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I just to be clear, I don't quite know what the longest, blackest divorce means, but I'm gonna let you rock. I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean, it's petty. It's just petty. It's just a petty divorce. Like the pettiest. Like I'm gonna take all like. The backs of your earrings from the house, like it's petty. My dad took the spatula, like we couldn't make eggs, like he took the spatula The cable turned off. We was just sad. We was like, no more cable, no more dad. Damn. Like, it was terrible. I was like, I want both my parents back. I want a 2-income household again. It got hard.
Yeah, no, look, I get it. No, all right. Fair enough. Okay, that makes sense. So okay, so we're there. Whatever happened with your friend? So did she ultimately get charged? What?
So my friend, because she had to stay in jail overnight, and they had her case tried the next morning, and they were like, okay, you're in school, you're below 25. They threw everything out. But for me,
yeah, no charges at all.
No charges at all. Me, being with her, I had the charges.
So do you have a record today?
I believe not. I believe if I were to apply for a government job, I would have to get a letter saying all charges were dismissed.
Okay. So were you doing comedy at that time?
Yes.
So
yes, I was.
Here's my other question. Look, maybe a lot of comedians are about to hate me for what I'm about to say, but it needs to be said. If you were able to go to jail for 5 years just for like doing something as innocuous as like relieving yourself in public, how are you able to do comedy? Because you know that there's some people in comedy who you probably should not be around. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So how did that work out?
It was at that point in time, I had to just make sure I was accountable for all my movements, watch who I was around, and people tell me, like, people ask me all the time, like, how don't you run into so much trouble in comedy? I'm like, I know when to go home. People be out all night being bums on West 4th. I go home. Go home. And you know what? The thing is, people think that the people on West 4th, they're like, they get so much daytime. I'm like, they homeless. They homeless. That's the truth. Like, they homeless. There's no home for them to go to. Me, on the other hand, if trouble is a brewing, I'm out. Like, I'm just like, nah, I'm going to go home. Like, I held my pee in until I got to the house. I couldn't even pop a squat on the street. And I really enjoy those.
Do you now liberally do it now?
Yeah, it's COVID. There was no bathrooms. There's no bathrooms. You gotta just have a friend with you. Like, the car coming, the car not coming. Go ahead, girl. All right, let's do it.
So, for those of you guys who come to New York City and complains that, sometimes it smells like pee, that's just a little bit of JJ all over the city.
A little bit, just a dash. And I had asparagus because I'm trying to build my immune system. Let's do this.
You're wild. Okay. So, what details of the story would you change?
Number one, like I said, I would have went home. I would have took my ass home. Like, I should have just left work and went home. Also, I would have, my intuition that I had the week prior to that, where I was like, yo, there's too many people here. I shouldn't have gone to that. See, because we're creatures of habit, that's why a lot of us is in jail, because we do the same thing every day. Do the same thing every day. But if I switched up my regimen, I wouldn't have been in that predicament. And the thing is, why the police were scoping out that property is because the rich people started to complain about all the marijuana smoke flowing up into their building. So that I just got caught up in all of that. That's not me going in to smoke every day, but it was everybody else. What else would I change about the story? I wouldn't have had a friend with me. You would have just been isolated. I think that's ultimately what got me caught, because we're passing this little thing back and forth. Like, if I was just by myself, nobody would pay me no mind. But the fact that I was with a friend and we're passing this device back and forth, they tried to charge me for that little thing too. Back and forth, it made it more obvious of what we were doing. Can I be honest with you for a second? Yeah. You know what I would have changed if I were you? Personally, I wouldn't have been so quick to offer a lighter, because I don't know, growing up in New York, if I don't know you, I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? You were that was his way to get my attention. Uh-huh. Like, that was kind of his way for me to look at him, and for him, he thought he was mad smooth. He was, you know what? It was smooth. I'm not going front. It was smooth. Like, it was some like Italian looking, the typical undercover look, because that's how my dad dressed on his like sweatshirt, right? The jeans is like Walmartish, and cross trainers. Like, they always have like a football team hoodie on and like cross trainers. and like maybe like one chain on just to make they think they cool. But I saw it and he was like, yo, you got a lighter? Like he was like, hey guy. And I was like, yeah, guy, let's go. And he was like that. And I was like, oh, you smooth, homie. That was smooth. Like I literally, if you were there, I screamed. Like I was like, ah! mistake, rewind. Yo, and I kept saying to myself, yo, we should leave because I did feel like I was being watched.
Right. So walk me through this. So you would have gone to a different spot. That's one thing you said you would change. The second thing you said is you would have done it alone. If you had been by yourself and that had happened, walk me through that scenario. What would have happened there?
If I had been by myself, I would have just received a ticket.
That's
and
true.
they would let me go home.
That's true.
They would let me go home. I was in this because I was with a friend who walked through a park by her house and didn't pay the ticket. This had nothing to do with me, but I was dragged into it because it was the company I was keeping.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Not that she's a bad person. It's just you irresponsible for not checking on that ticket.
Right. No, that's right. Which makes me want to go check to make sure I don't have any tickets I need to pay.
Right, as you should.
Right now.
You never know.
As soon as I get off this call, this is what the first thing we're going to go do is go handle that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just want you to expand on something. You said that you had to kind of defend yourself because your paralegal wasn't. Why did you get assigned a paralegal instead of what do you call it? The free defendant attorney guys, the ones I'm naming.
Isn't that a paralegal?
Oh no,
public defender. Excuse me. You're right. I had a public defender. Yes, public defender who literally his paperwork went all over the place. He was like, "What's your name, Janice?" I was like, "My name is not Janice, sir." Wrong paperwork. Like it was a disaster, and I was like, "I'm going to jail." Like I was like, I'm going to jail. I gotta use all the episodes of SVU that I watched, all the Law and Orders, all the Criminal Minds. I gotta use them now, right now, and they help. they help. But I couldn't bear to tell my parents what was going on. It would have probably helped if I did, but I just couldn't do it.
Just on a side note, in case you ever find yourself in a similar situation, Scrubs is more medically accurate than Grey's Anatomy. I just want you to know that.
Scrubs is more. Got you.
In case you ever need that information, just know that.
Thank you for that. I'm going to use that in the future.
All right, cool. So, did your parents ever find out? Not
that I know of. Like, my friends are like, your parents know what you do. And I was like, if they did, they would ask me about it. But I haven't heard about it. I've tried to make it a set on stage, but like, I just was like, nah, don't talk about it no more. Like, I just kept it to myself. But if anybody asks me, I'll tell the story, but usually not. I just was like, that part of my life was very challenging for me, and I'm glad that I'm better from
it. So you decided that instead of making it hot, that you were just going to come on a podcast and share it to,
let's do it. My parents don't listen to podcasts, but if they do, it's going to surprise me. Like, word, you listen to podcasts?
Little do you know, they both called me on Instagram. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my dad would probably be mad at me. Like, you didn't call me? Like, you didn't show your card or the shield I had in my wallet? None. I have as a police daughter, you get a shield.
Right.
That, like, I don't know. I guess it's like a little, I don't know. It's a special club. Like, please don't arrest me. My dad works here. And a card. And I didn't use any of it.
Yeah, I almost feel like that might have been better, right? Because I'm thinking about it, right?
I thought I was a thug. Juan Carlos, I thought I was a thug.
I mean, are you about that life? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not about that life at all. Like, okay. I run. It's either fight or flight. It is flight for me, friend. It is flight. Because I'm 5'7" and a brown woman, people swear like, you gonna fight? Nah. Nope.
Are you
like the train station.
Are you like me? Did you grow up on the Disney Channel too?
All of it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. All of it. Nickelodeon. Are You Afraid of the Dark? All that. No. I had cable growing up. I'm good. Like I was spoiled. And then I got in that jail cell and I was like, no, this is hard life. This is hard.
You didn't even go to prison. You were in holding.
And you know what? It still gives me enough street cred though, okay? It's like the fact that I was in handcuffs, people are like, wow, you were in handcuffs. I'm like, that's right. Yeah, street cred all the way.
I mean, I've been in handcuffs too. It's just that when I've done it, I didn't get arrested. No, hold on. Let me finish. Don't jump to conclusions here.
What?
It was part of a school demonstration. Nasty. No, it was part of a school demonstration. You know, the cops wanted to show you how to react if you were in cuffs, and somehow I got picked as the volunteer. Don't ask me how or why. Somehow.
Yeah. Random, right? Yeah,
it was random. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Sure.
Shit, yeah. They thought I'd be a sparkling example. But so that's the upside. I've been in handcuffs too, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Mm-hmm. People don't got to know the whole story. They just got to know I've been in handcuffs. That's it. You don't know about this life.
Right.
But for some reason, I was like, I'm going to handle it on my own. I'm responsible. I don't know why I did that.
What do you think the long-term impacts of your changes would have been? Or slash, do you feel that, you know, this situation where you were arrested has affected you long-term?
Long-term? Possibly. At that point in time, like, after I got arrested, I was just so, like, scared. I was just scared to go outside. I was scared of everything at that point. And, like, I don't know. Maybe it you know, it brought light to a lot of the bad things I was doing to my body at the time. Like, I was just drinking every night with my coworkers, like, just spending all my tips on liquor and weed. And it was just like, you know, I feel like the universe gives you a tap, like a light tap, but it gave me a push, and I was like, yo, you got to do better. If you knew better, you do better. And now you know better, so do better. So
right.
I was like, time for a change. Started drinking more water after that.
I mean, look, and we've learned something today. I did not know that I could get in trouble for hanging out with people with warrants.
Yes.
That is huge.
Yes. Huge thing to know.
I feel like I'm not trying to incriminate myself or anything, but I feel like I might have been in that situation once or twice before, you know?
Yeah, chilling. Don't even know.
Minding my own business, you know how it is. You know, because I don't discriminate. If you're, you know, good to me, then, you know, I don't see why we can't hang out, but maybe I need to be more cautious.
For 6 months after that, if I met anybody new, I'd be like, hey, how you doing? You have any warrants? So sorry. I know it's a weird question, but like for the next year, I can't stand next to nobody who did anything. I cannot. Like, no, I was not playing. I wasn't standing on any street corners talking to any comedians. I went home.
Let me put your mind to rest. The only time I've seen the inside of a jail cell was on a school trip in the 3rd grade. Other than that, no
what kind of Bronx school trip was this? What kind of school trip? Was it Scared Straight?
It really was though. Like, they really took us in and like put us in and shut the doors and make sure. But I used to think at first, I was like, yo, is that because I grew up in the Bronx? Like, is that a Bronx thing? Turns out I was talking to somebody. They were telling me how they grew up in the middle of Minnesota in a super nice town. Mm-hmm. And their son also went through a similar experience where they took them inside the jail. So it's not a Bronx thing.
That was interesting. There's no other school trip. They was just like, not the farm. They couldn't take you out of the museums. Let's go to jail. Okay. Okay. That was interesting. All right. I just, the closest I've been to jail was take your daughters to work day. That was it. Like, that's about it. But that is an interesting school trip. Okay.
Clearly it didn't work. No, I'm just kidding.
They taught us sign language, Juan Carlos. They were like, you're going to learn sign language. I'm like, again this year? Again? Damn.
Okay. We have a tradition on this podcast where I invite the guests to tell us a quick story from their childhood that puts a smile on their face or generally makes them happy.
Okay. So my parents, they used to throw little house parties. I have 3 other siblings. They used to throw little house parties. And like, I think every minority parent tries to like send their kids to bed while there's like a whole jam and party outside the bedroom, which I don't. And then they get mad when you come out the bedroom, like, why are you down here? Like, so we lived in a 2-floor house. So I hear all the tunes through the floor. Like, me and my siblings got a cup to the floor. Like, yo, they're playing This Is How We Do It. That's our jam. That's our jam. Like, we got to go down there. So literally, me and my 3 siblings were like, yo, there's a party downstairs. We got to go. How dare they exclude us? We helped put the appetizers up, and then they made us go to bed. So I remember literally, we knew to go downstairs when my parents were drunk enough.
Right.
That when the adults were drunk enough, so they don't be like, there's kids here. Like, so we went downstairs. I remember It Takes Two came on. Mm-hmm. And like, me and my siblings started to like boogie down the steps. We just started to boogie. And everybody was just cheering us on like, hey, go. So all the parents was drunk. Nobody sent us back to bed. And we partied as like 6, 7-year-olds until like 4 a.m. Kind of irresponsible, but the best night of my life. Irresponsible, but the best night of my life. I even had somebody even gave me like a little sip of beer. Like I thought I was lit. I was lit. I was like, yo, me and my siblings woke up the next day and was like, yo, how about that party? Like, man, it was great. It was epic. Oh my God, we should do it again.
I love that story. That's really cute. Do you, before I let you go, do you have any last words for our revisionaries?
Do I have last words for the revisionaries? What have we learned? We learned to not hang out with people with warrants. And also, yo, if you're doing bad in your life right now, that's not your whole life. Eventually, you might get it together, but just not right now. But there's hope for you out there.
And where can we follow you?
You can follow me at JJ Mattise. Mattise is not my last name, even though people think it is.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, people like, you Haitian? I'd be like, nah, I'm not Haitian. But that is actually my middle name. My mother, Mattise is my middle name because it's one of my mother's favorite artists. And I got a podcast, Professionally Inappropriate. If you can't spell it, then you probably shouldn't listen. Again, Professionally Inappropriate is the podcast. Me and my co-host Ali Leffridge are on it. It's going to be back in November.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the Revisionary podcast. I really enjoyed your story. I'm sure.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I had a blast. Let's be honest.
I had a blast too. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. So without further ado, thank you for coming on again.
The Revisionary Podcast.
That story is wild. I can't believe that she ended up in jail. Do you know how embarrassing it must be to have a dad as a cop and you end up like in handcuffs over what? Over you choosing to be at the wrong place at the wrong time? See, this is why I can't just hang out with anybody. You know, you got to be careful who you hang out with. If I don't know you too well, we're not hanging out because things like this happen. And this story doesn't even surprise me. I'm not even a little bit surprised that this happened to her in New York. I mean, I feel like this is the type of thing that happens. But anywho, as you guys know, every single episode, we like to select a charity or an organization to highlight. For this week's episode, the organization and charity that has been chosen is the NAACP Criminal Justice Fund. So, for those of you guys who don't know, the NAACP stands for the National Advancement of Colored People. And basically, they own this foundation where they are trying to advocate for smarter results-based criminal justice policies to make sure that the community remains safe and has the treatments that they need, including treatments for addictions and mental health problems, and making sure that they're actually getting fair sentences to make sure that there's no racial disparity when it comes to the way that the system works and handles sentences. So please feel free to go ahead and learn more about them and feel free to support them in any way possible. As always, the link will be down in the description. I want to thank you all again for tuning in. I personally enjoyed JJ and I enjoyed her story, and I'm very grateful that she came on the Revisionary podcast. And as always, thank you for listening.
This is